Okay, we're live. We're live. Let's give folks a few minutes to log on. Log on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Harold Leffall, and I'm rolling solo today because my partner in this movement and co-host, Wandale Floyd, is out in the Bahamas, handling her business, and so she'll be back with us on next week, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about next week. But today, what I want to talk about is launching your business. So many people have the dream and the desire to own their own business, but the fact of the matter is 99% of the folks will never launch. Talk about it, but never launch. And so I want to talk to you about why. Why aren't you launching your business? I know for me, when I started my first business way back in the day, I had this dream of starting a business like some of you. Some of you have dreams and aspirations of starting your own business, but haven't launched. You want to do it, you're talking about it, but nothing's happening. And so often, it's like we're waiting for the right time. We're waiting for this perfect time to launch. And what I know is that the perfect time is right now. That's the perfect time. For me, my entrepreneurial journey went like this. From a very early age, I knew, like some of you know, that you're supposed to have your own business. You were meant to. Some of us weren't meant to work for other people. Anybody out there feel that way? Anybody? I know for me, I never liked reporting to quote-unquote boss. I never liked working for someone, and knew that I always wanted to own my own business. I grew up with a dad who was an entrepreneur. He was an entrepreneur that he was a pharmaceutical entrepreneur, not the legal kind, but you know what I'm talking about. But one of the things that I admired about my dad and others like him is that they had a lot of independence, and there was no ceiling to the amount of money that they could make. Although it was illegal, and I knew that wasn't the route that I wanted to go. But for many of us, we just have this dream that one day I'm going to do it. One day I'm going to do it. And year after year, we still have that dream, but we've not taken action. And I remember years ago, I wrote this book called Brother CEO, a business success guide for African American men. And the reason I wrote this book was because so many brothers was asking me, man, how'd you do it? How did you start your business with nothing? I just saw somebody online that said it takes money to launch a business. And that's true, partly. But it takes creativity and ingenuity. Because if you have a great idea, the money will come. And so for me, the reason why I wrote the book is that after my business was up and running, it became successful. I was in Black Enterprise and some other publications. I started getting letters from brothers that were in prison asking me how I did it, as if there was some kind of magic formula on how to start a business from nothing and build it into a multi-million-dollar business. And the fact of the matter was, I started my business with $25,000. I got a second mortgage on the house that I owned, and I took that $25,000 and I started a staffing agency with no experience. I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I had this dream, and for me, it was one of those situations where I knew that if I didn't launch it, I would always feel this void in my life. And so I took a leap of faith, took the $25,000, started this business, a staffing business, had no experience in staffing at all, and got an office, I got a computer, and like so many people, I thought my business was getting ready to blow up. Well, 6 months after I started my business, it blew up all right. And it blew up not in a good way. In 6 months, I had no clients. My house got foreclosed. My car got repossessed. And I realized I did everything wrong with my business. First of all, I didn't have a business plan. So you're talking about starting your own business. But have you taken the time to sit down and figure out what's your business going to be about? How's it going to be different? I tell my students all the time. I used to teach entrepreneurial students at a college. And one of the things that I told them, if your business doesn't do something that's either new, different, or better, you shouldn't go into business. Many times we launch our business without really understanding what's unique about our business, what's different about it. If you can't figure that out, or if you can't articulate that, you shouldn't go into business. And so the first thing, or the first mistake that I made was I didn't start out with a plan. You got to write it down, because when you're writing down your plan, what will happen is you will see some blind spots that you wouldn't see if you're just talking about it. And so for me, because I didn't have a business plan, I didn't know how to properly market my business, because there were tons of staffing firms already out there. But how was I going to penetrate the market and stand out so that I could get clients? And so one of the things that I had to do was I had to go take some classes in business, because I didn't study business in college. And so one of the things that's so important, if you're talking about really launching your business, you got to get some new information. And so that may mean taking a course in business, or doing some research, or talking to folks that are in the business that you want to go into. See, one of the hindrances for most of us is that, I'm spitting, sorry about that. One of the hindrances for most of us is that we're afraid to ask for help, and we're afraid to seek assistance. And I know that was the case for me. I didn't want to ask for help or seek assistance, because then people wouldn't think that I knew what I was doing. And another thing that we do, or the mistake that we make, we talk about our dreams of launching our business with people who don't have entrepreneurial goals. And so we share our vision or our dreams with critics that don't have credentials. Did you get that? Critics that don't have credentials. You know, you tell somebody, a friend, a family member, that you're going to start a business, and they tell you all the reasons why it can't happen, or all the reasons why it can't work. Well, do they have the credentials to even be able to tell you that? To be able to tell you why it can't work? And so many of us will lose our momentum to start our business because we're listening to critics without credentials. And so for me, after I lost everything, I still wasn't ready to give up on my dream. I still had that dream and desire to start my own business, just like many of you. But for so many of us, it takes something tragic to happen in order for us to get the push to finally go there, to launch our business. And the real reason why I actually started my business was because I had a supervisor that just couldn't stand me. And so it was either I was going to stay in a situation that I didn't like, or I was going to take that leap. And so even though, after I started my business 6 months, I experienced the foreclosure and experienced the repossession, I couldn't let that go. I couldn't let it go. But one of the things that I discovered is that I needed to get some new information, and I needed to be around other folks that were similarly focused, other folks that were striving and moving forward. And so I realized that the fact that I had lost all my money after 6 months didn't mean that I was a failure. See, one of the things that we don't realize is that failure is a part of the journey. You fall, you get back up. And when you get back up, you get back stronger, wiser. And for me, I didn't realize that because I was embarrassed by my failure. And some of you may have started a business way back in the day, and it may have not worked out. And now you're kind of shy or kind of reluctant to start your business because you think that you're going to repeat the same thing that happened last time. But trust me, what will happen this time is that you're going to start that business a lot more focused, a lot wiser than you were when you weren't armed with that information. And so for me, I think it's important that when you are thinking about starting your business, stop thinking about it and just launch. You got to jump. The only thing that's different between you and the person that's in business and that's successful is that they had the courage to launch. Doesn't mean that they weren't afraid. It just means that they were afraid, but they did it anyhow. And so for you, what you have to do is launch afraid. Even though you're scared, you still got to launch. And know that even if you fall, you got to do like Les Brown says. You got to fall on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. And you'll get up every time. And each time you get up, you will be better. You'll be stronger. You'll be wiser. But you got to just do it. See, when I started my business and it became successful, people thought, that I had this secret sauce. But every step of the way, I was just learning. I was falling, I was getting back up, and I was learning, falling, getting back up. And it took me It took me about a year and a half before I started really figuring out how to do it, and before I really started gaining the confidence to ask questions. One of my mentors in business is this guy. His business, before he sold it, was worth something like $300 million. And one of the things that I learned from him is to ask questions. If you don't know the answer, ask somebody. Ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking for help and asking for assistance. And as I did that, the assistance came, and I got smarter and wiser with my decisions, and my business began to flourish. And so for many of us, we're just kind of sitting back waiting for something to happen. And you know what? Oftentimes something will happen. Something will happen with that job. You get fired, you get laid off, or you get a supervisor that you just can't stand. And what I learned is that sometimes that's a blessing in disguise. And what looks like a tragedy is really your transition. And so my question to you is, why haven't you launched? It can't be just about the money, because you can start with no money. Start with what you have, where you are. And the money and the resources will come. You see, have you ever noticed someone who you just knew that they were going to be successful? They just had passion. They just had fire. Didn't have any money, but you just kind of believed that something good was on the horizon for them. Well, they didn't have to have money, because if you got passion and you have vision, the money will come. People will see that, and they'll want to support your dream, your vision. And so what's really stopping you? And I tell you, the number one thing that's stopping folks is fear. It's not really the money. It's not even that you don't know what to do. It's not that you're not brilliant or talented. It's fear. It's fear of what will people think? What if it doesn't work? What if I can't make it? But here's the thing that I've learned is, what if it does work? I lost you. Okay, I think we're back. Okay, wait a minute. I see a question. Somebody just said, Nyla said, I've fallen again and again. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. I've been asking for help again, but that's the truth, Nyla. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it makes you better. Every successful business owner that I know has experienced failure after failure after failure. But the difference is they keep getting up. They keep going forward even after they've fallen down, and they don't lose their momentum. See, most times when we've experienced failure, when we get back up, we're kind of timid. We're kind of nervous. But no, when we get back up, you're supposed to get up bolder, stronger. You know what you've been through. And see, here's what I know about you. You've never not made it. You may have experienced setbacks. You may have experienced some failures, but you've never not made it. And how do I know that? Because you're still here. You're still here. And so if you still have that passion, that burning desire to start your own business, this is the time. You got to launch, baby. You got to do it. Why? Because other people are watching you. They're watching you. They're looking at you to be the example. They're looking at you to be the example of what it means to press forward even when you've experienced failure. See, after I experienced, the bankruptcy and losing everything, I could have given up. I could have justified it. But I decided that I wanted to get better and not bitter. See, many of us get bitter after we've experienced a setback. But see, what I know that's true, that if you can get back up stronger, you'll be better for it. And what I know about you is that your best is really yet to come, but you got to believe it. So why aren't you launching that business? Don't let fear stop you. Don't let fear stop you. You got to doubt your doubt. You got to doubt your doubt. You got to encourage yourself every day. You got to let yourself know and remind yourself that I can do this. You got to do like David in the Bible. It says David had to encourage himself. You got to know that you're more than a conqueror, that you have within you everything you need to be successful. You see, somebody's paying you right now on the job. If they're paying you $60,000, you better believe that they're making 10 times that, whatever that is that they're paying you. And so that's value. So why are you working for somebody else? I'm not saying go out and quit your job, but I'm just saying launch. Do something. Do something with your dream. Start now with what you have. Leap. And for many of us, this is the appointed hour. This is your time. And so it's not an accident that you're on this broadcast. This is just a reminder. This is just your wake-up call to get you to go ahead and do what you know you should be doing right now. To do what you know that you've been called to do. You know, you're called for greatness. And so I just want to encourage you on today to take that leap and launch that business. You are enough. James Baldwin told us, your crown has already been bought and paid for. All you have to do is put it on. All right, until next time, stay blessed.